Whew, man, did we finally see what MARESCA ball is all about? All right, welcome back to American Blues Podcast. This is your host, Terry Lee. Let's talk about Chelsea 3, Club America 0. I thought this was a fantastic game. This is exactly what I wanted to see as a third game after two pretty disastrous games with, I would say, not too many positives, a lot of scary negatives in midfield and defense. This game, much better all around. I felt like the fitness was there, the running was there, the communication between midfield, defense, all there. And even Badiashile and Sanchez did not make any crazy, egregious errors. So all in all, as good of a game as you could hope for in preseason. Only minor gripe is I'm hoping Gusto came off at the end more as a precaution and not because of injury, because he was absolutely key on the left side, and we'll get into that. But starting up initially, big surprise, Gusto inverting from the left side and Reece James part of the defense. But you know what? I love it. Gusto is so good. I actually think he's a better natural inverter, whether it's on the right or left, than even James has been the first two games. It just seems like he has the athletic skill and pace to know when to go into midfield and when to go into defense, kind of like Cucurella at the end of last season. So that was really good to see. And then another big surprise, which was Colwell is not part of the team at all, but Badiashile was there. I don't know if I missed something. I don't know if he got sick or if he's injured all of a sudden in training. Hopefully it's nothing major if that is the case. Another very exciting debut for KDH, who I was very curious to see. You know, this is a guy that we bought specifically because he knows MARESCA. He knows this system. I wanted to see how he would do. And man, he did not disappoint. Yes, he should have finished his chances. That's okay. It's his first game. I'm not going to blame him for that. What I love seeing was, number one, you can tell he knows this system inside out. He knows exactly what to do as that 8. The freedom that he had between transitioning from defense to midfield to attack is exactly what I wanted to see from him. He immediately knew his role. What a fantastic signing. If this is just a hint of what he can deliver, man, he might be that missing piece that this team really needs. Another thing that I really like seeing, which is, you know, this system is so dependent on both Sterling and Madueke, or whoever's on the left wing, whoever's on the right wing. They have to just keep running at their defenders. And I love that we actually have two kind of old school wingers who are just not afraid to take on their man again and again and again. Doesn't matter if they succeed or fail, they will just keep trying. And even the passing lane that defense had out to the wing was really good to see. You know, it wasn't just a horseshoe pattern in the back again like the first game, or pass back to midfield and then pass back to defense and back and forth we go. There were several chances where either Tosin or Reece James just hit it straight out to the wing and Madueke got onto the ball. And that's fantastic to see. I like how wide they stretch that pitch and how vertical they're able to play. And I think that'll be huge in terms of keeping defenders stretched and keeping the midfield from being too packed, so they're also able to receive the ball if need be. Another big positive, you know, this is the third game that we've seen Lavia, and man, every single game I like more and more from what I see. Do I think he's better than Caicedo? Probably not, but I think it's purely just because of his horrible injury-ridden season last year. You know, he just doesn't have the game fitness or experience that Caicedo got last year. So I would say probably Caicedo can play that positions just as well, if not a little bit better. But I think Lavia's not so far behind. This kid can definitely play. He is comfortable under pressure. He can turn. He is always an eye out for a pass. And he had one incredible turn and then first time pass out to the left wing for Sterling that started off attack that should have ended in a goal. I think that was the one that KDH missed. Also going back, KDH, what a smart run and cross for Guiu to finish. That's exactly what I want to see. That is an incredible play. And overall, I think what I'm taking away, especially from the first half, is just that our attack has already looked better in these 3 games than they have in, man, even probably to the beginning of Tuchel. Yeah, because end of Tuchel, like we were we really weren't progressing the ball all that well. It was really just, could Reece James or Ben Chilwell, number one, could they stay fit and could they create something? And that was it. Beyond that, we had no plan. This kind of play is exactly what I wanted to see, which is moving the ball quickly through midfield out to the wing, wingers taking on their man, and then, of course, people just crashing into the box. So many different options for the wingers to pass to score. I think that's a fantastic sign of the progress that we should be expecting this year. Like going forward, I actually don't really have that much fears about us scoring. I think we're going to be just fine. It's really how well the midfield and defense learn to work on this new system. When is the defense going to step up? When are they going to step back? How are the eights, or if they're going to be able to run back and help out in midfield and defense when we lose the ball? I think those are the things that are going to decide our season. Because like you saw in the first and second game, if we don't get that correct, we leave absolute massive holes in defense. And then Lavia or Caicedo, whoever's going to be in that kind of holding six role, they're going to be completely isolated. And trust me, there are more than enough Premier League teams who are good enough to exploit that weakness. So the sooner we can get midfield and defense on the same page, the better. And then finally, this game, I can't crap on Sanchez. He made one incredible worldly save again. We know he's good with his hands. It's really just his decision making and his feet. And today he didn't have any major errors. I think he had one pretty bad hospital pass that we got lucky on to the right side and we managed to get out of it. And then he also followed up with a really good pass out to Guiu. But those are few and far between, really. Like, I can see him panicking most of the time. Unfortunately, I was really excited to see Jurgens in the second half. I think it was maybe just a little bit too soon for him to start with the team. I don't even know if he's had a real training session with the team yet, and to expect him to understand the system and to play well under pressure, I think that's expecting a little bit too much. So I'm not going to judge him harshly on that. We'll just see how he is in the rest of the preseason, and hopefully we'll see more of him as the season starts. Now, the second half, beyond that, I don't really have that many comments. Club America changed their entire team. We started making a lot of substitutions. I think the second half of these preseason games is just more about making sure you're fit, making sure you don't get injured, making sure some of these other players get some minutes so the manager can kind of see them. But overall, I don't think you can make too many judgments off of that. Now, I will say, I think more and more we are starting to see what our true 11 looks like. I think we have Guiu up front and probably Jackson whenever he's fit again. I think Sterling's going to start on the left just because he is, even in 3 games, he has shown so much more drive and positional awareness than Mudryk. I'm sorry. It's true. And I'm hoping that since the Euros are over, that Sterling can kind of shed his selfish side that want to make it back into the England national team, and he can just do what we need him to do, which is take on people one-on-one, shoot when he has a good chance, or cross the ball every other time. And I think in these 3 games, I'm pretty happy with what I've seen from him so far. On the right side, it's going to be Madueke, or I guess Palmer. That's kind of the question, is like, where does Palmer fit into this team? I think Madueke is fantastic on one-on-one. Yes, he has very selfish moments. That's also because he's very young, and I think with experience that will get better. Now, I've seen some rumors of Newcastle wanting to buy him for 40 million. I think that would be a horrible mistake. I think Madueke is going to have a monster year this season, and he's so important to how this team is set up. We rely on our wingers to do their jobs, and we don't really have that many wingers like Madueke who can just take on their defender one-on-one again and again, and more often than not, he's going to beat them and create something. And then you can see the Enzo versus KDH role. I think it's a little bit too early to tell which one's really going to take over that role. Enzo just came back. He's clearly not fully fit. He just played a whole summer with Argentina, so he's going to need some time to get back into the pace of things. And then on that right side, Nkuku's looked absolutely fantastic all preseason. He can play anywhere in that front. He can score penalties. He had a great run today to earn that penalty in the second half. It's just, would you rather see Nkuku there, or would you rather see Palmer there? And personally, I think I would rather see Palmer there just because, he's player season last year. I think Palmer overall has better vision, better drive, and he just takes over the team when he comes onto the field. And Nkuku could easily play on the left side, play as a striker. There's so many other positions that he could play. Whereas Palmer is kind of limited to either that right side at 8 or the right wing, kind of depending on how often Madueke is going to play. And then in central midfield, you're going to have either your Lavia or Caicedo. and then either a Gusto or Cucurella inverting or a Reece James inverting. So that's going to be interesting to watch out and see. And I think in defense, it's pretty clear that Tosin's going to be starting. I would hope that Colwell starts before Badiashile. I just trust him in defense a hell of a lot more. And then finally, goalie, I think it's still pretty unknown. It looks like Sanchez is probably going to get the start just because Jorgensen's so new with the team. I'm hoping what we saw today was just not an accurate representation of what Jorgensen can do. Hopefully this guy is not only good with his hand, but also with his feet. So I don't panic every time I see Sanchez in goal. But overall, I think this is a fantastic game. I don't think we could have asked for anything better for the third preseason game. You finally saw the attack patterns and then final third decision making come through for once, and you can see just how many chances we are able to create under the system. And then you could tell everybody's more up to speed. There's better fitness. They played harder. They ran. We won almost every second ball. And then midfield and defense were in great communication. So I think overall, great game. And lastly, I really just want to shout out, I think the highlights from the game today, which is really KDH, great debut. Gusto, incredible as an inverted, whether it's on the right or left. Lavia, what a classy midfield player. And Kunku, who can play basically any position up front. Madueke for constantly taking on his man one-to-one and just being a nightmare on that right side. So I think there's a lot of positives to look forward to. So see you guys after the next game. Peace.